All right, well, let's go. We're going to continue doing a little playing around with Autodesk Sketchbook this week. We're going to switch over to 2-point perspective instead of 1-point perspective. So that'll be a little bit different. This handout is posted on Google Classroom and has a little bit of information about what I want you to do today, but I'm going to demonstrate it. And this is not a big thing today. This is a get in there and try out the 2-point perspective situation and get used to it a little bit. So let's go to work on this, shall we? I'm going to fire up Sketchbook. That would be your first step. And you get a peek here at this is really all I'm going to ask you to make today. It's kind of a 2-point perspective building. It's got some doors and windows. You can add other little details if you want to, but I'm not asking a lot of you today. So I'm going to go ahead up here to the menu on the top left, and I'm going to say New Sketch, and I'll just use my 1280 by 720. Use whatever size you want. And I'll discard that current sketch. That's fine with me, and I'll just discard that. All right, there it is. It's set. So I'm going to get my perspective grid all set. I'll go up to the perspective grid guides, and I'm going to want, and I kind of have been doing this, so it's already kind of set up. But last week we were working in 1-point mode over here on the left-hand side of that submenu. So now we're going to switch to 2-point mode. I have these locked right now, so I'm going to unlock them. And if you unlock them, and then I can play with the density of the grid if I want to. And I'm going to pinch and zoom out here. That's way out, but that's okay. And I'm making some accidental marks, but that's okay too. If I unlock the grid, you can do things like play around with the vanishing points. You can move the vanishing points. Like I'm doing here, I have mine kind of moved off the edge. But you don't have to. If you don't want to, you can put them wherever you want. It just has to do that, kind of creates the slant that you get when you draw, right? So you can set your vanishing points. You can raise the horizon line up or down if you want to do that. That's kind of up to you. You'll get different looks depending on what you do with that. You can change your top point and your bottom point. That you'll get different looks depending on what you do with that as well. So you just kind of play with it and you get it set the way you want. And then of course, the density and all that kind of thing. I'm going to close that up. And I like it on constrained, right? I don't want this really on infinite. I guess that would work, but I'm going to do it on constrained. You can try it on infinite if you want. And then I'm going to lock those. I'm going to lock the perspective guides so that they just don't move around on me, right? And then I'm going to just get that all kind of squared away. And let me come over here, and I'm just going to clear. I made an accidental mark on that layer, so I'm going to clear that. So this is really all I'm going to ask you to do here today. Let's pretend that we're standing on a street corner, right? And we're looking at a building that is on the corner. So I'm just going to make, this is going to be like the edge of the building. I'm using my technical pen, but use whatever. If you want to use a different pen, go explore those pens and see what's over there and see what you like. So I'm going to make just kind of a vertical line right there. And I'll use these guides to kind of help me out here. And I may zoom in a little bit. And let me get that zoomed kind of the way I want. And I'll use this vertical guide right here. And then I'm going to come right along like that. And I'm going to come right along like this. And I've got a place up here where there's a gap in the corner. You can zoom in if you're more of a perfectionist, zoom in and fix that if you want to. I'm not going to be all that concerned about it. I'm not asking you for perfection here. All right, so I'm going to come down this way to that vertical guide right there, and I'll run this way over to that vertical guide, and boom, like that. So that's the basics of our corner building, right? We've got it. It's like we're standing on a corner and we're looking at a building. Now, the only other thing I'm going to ask you to do is let's add some doors and some windows and a few little details. And I'm not going to give you a certain number. You just get in there and play with it. Like if I want to put a window over here, I can just kind of work that in and eyeball that and get that. And like I said, you might, maybe not everything gets lined up absolutely perfect and all your corners don't match just, perfect. I'm not going to, you might worry about that more than me. I'm not going to be worried about that really today. I just want you to get in there and try it. I just want you to get in there and do it. So I got some windows on this side. Let's put a kind of a big wide doorway over here is what I'm going to do on mine. Now that actually kind of went on the wrong that kind of went the wrong way. I didn't want it to go off toward that vanishing point. So you have to sometimes kind of redo something and pull it in the direction that you want it to go. That's more what I wanted there. And I might make this, I might just for kicks and giggles. I always like to try and find ways to add details, right? So I'm going to put a bunch of like bars or whatever down like that. And then over here on the other side, I want to go ahead and add some windows and you know, maybe a doorway or two. Maybe we'll put a door like right here and run over that way. It's not going to be quite as big of a door as what we've got on that other side. And I could zoom in here. You know, add a window on that. Sometimes zooming in really does help when you're trying to do some detail work. A little higher window here. There we go. And if you want to, you could get in here and got a little extra dot I don't like. Add some depth to that, right? I could do this kind of thing where, you know, I'm not sure I want that line. I just want to add some depth to it. Zoom in here and get that the way I want. Back that up a little bit, just being a little bit persnickety there. All right, so you see that looks like there's some depth to the window is all. I'm just kind of looking in from the angle, and there's some depth to the window. I'll add another window up here. Zoom in on that corner and touch that up just a little bit. Remember to zoom in, it's just pinch. Use your thumb and your forefinger and just pinch. Give that a little bit of depth. And really, you know, I'm about done here. I might throw in like a kind of a long, I'm going to throw in a long window, kind of like that, that has a little bit of depth to it. And this one, again, I'm going to zoom in there and give it a little thickness there. And you know what? Just being picky. This one being below the horizon line, I'm going to run. It's not going on the guide that I want. That's better. That's more what I want right there. Make it look like that. There we go. Now today, you know, even something like this is good enough. That's a 2-point perspective drawing. It's a building. It's got some doors and windows. If I wanted to do that depth thing over here on these windows, I could come in here and do kind of like that. And I might even, you know, from down at that low angle, you might even have that kind of thing in there. I could fill them if I wanted to, but see that? So you can do that kind of thing. I'm not going to be that picky. A 2-point perspective drawing is what I'm after. Now, if you want to get the fill bucket, if you want to go get the fill bucket and fill things up, my goodness, go ahead and do that. Not going to stop you. But this kind of thing right here is good enough. Happy with it. So I'm going to go up here to the menu. I'll switch over to my mouse here. I've been using my stylus. I'll go up here to the menu. I'm going to say share. I'm going to say save to device. I'm going to change the name of this. It's saving on my files. I look up in the top left corner and I see it's on my files. That's good. And I'm going to just call this, I don't know, building. And I might call it 2-point, building 2-point, right? 2-point perspective. I'll just go ahead and save that. And that is it. That's what we're doing today. A little 2-point perspective drawing. Let's jump in there and have at it. Fist bump. Off you go.